Hello, you are most welcome. I'm teacher Ivan from Wunna Educational Services. I welcome you to our today's lesson where we shall be looking at quadratic equations and graphs. We shall start with the quadratic equations. A quadratic equation is defined as an expression which is equal to a constant, and the general equation is given as ax squared plus bx plus c equaling to 0, where a is not 0 and a, b, c are constants. Then x is our variable. So any equation in this form is what we call a quadratic equation. Then, how do we solve quadratic equations? Solving quadratic equations. Quadratic equations can be solved by 4 methods. That is, we can use the factorization method, we can use the quadratic formula, the one you normally call the bulldozer. We can use completing square, or we can use the graphical method. We shall look at each of these methods and how it operates. We shall start with the factorization method, which can only be used if the expression ax squared plus bx plus c has a pair of numbers, say m and n, whose product is sc and the sum is b. So meaning that we have a condition, and that also tells us that the factorization method cannot work for each and every equation, but it only works for those equations that satisfy its condition, whereby we should have 2 numbers whose product gives us the product of a and c, whose sum gives us b. If not, then that equation cannot be solved by factorization method. And a quadratic equation must be arranged to take the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equaling to 0 before being solved. That is very, very important, and it applies for each and every method. So we must take note of that. So let us look at how we solve quadratic equations using the factorization method. Let's look at examples. And in our first example, that is example 1, we are told to solve the following equations. And number 1 is 2 brackets of 2x plus 3 and x minus 1 equaling to 3. So for us to solve this equation, we've seen that it is very important to first express the equation in form of a x squared plus b x plus c equals to 0. So meaning that before we go any further, we first need to express this equation in this form. And that's what we are going to be looking at right now. So we shall open the 2 brackets. We have 2x plus 3 and x minus 1 equaling to 3. How do we open brackets? We shall split the first bracket. Then 2x multiplies the second bracket. So that gives us 2x into x minus 1. Then the second term with its sign multiplies the second bracket. That is plus 3 into x minus 1 equaling to 3. And therefore we open the two brackets by simply multiplying the term outside by each term inside. That gives us 2x squared minus 2x plus 3x, positive times a negative is minus 3 and 1 is 3. Then this equals to 3. So that gives us, we now simplify, that is 2x squared. We have negative 2x plus 3x minus 3. We take this one the other side, so that we get negative 2x plus 3x minus 3 minus 3 equals to 0. So we are taking this 3 this side to get in minus 3, which will give us 2x squared. Then when we simplify this, we end up with plus x, because we have negative 2 plus 3, which gives us positive 1x minus 6 equaling to 0. Then from there, we now look for the sum. The sum is the coefficient of x, which is 1. And then the product. The product is given by multiplying the coefficient of x squared times the constant. So that is 2 times negative 6, which gives us negative 12. And therefore, we shall have the factors. Factors are those two numbers that you multiply to get negative 12 and add to get 1. They are normally derived from the product. Our product is 12. So we look at the factors of 12. We have 12 times 1. We have 6 times 2. 3 times 4. So from these pairs, we are choosing one pair that can be added to get 1 and multiply to get negative 12. So probably that is possible with the introduction of the sign negative. When we make this negative, it cannot give us a sum of 1, neither this. Still, when we make this a negative, cannot give us a sum of 1, neither this. Then what if we make this a negative and add it to 4? Negative 3 plus 4 will give us a 1. And then when you multiply negative 3 times 4, it gives us the negative 12. So meaning this is my pair. So the factors are negative 3 and 4. And therefore, where I have this, I will substitute with our factors. That gives us 2x squared minus 3x plus 4x minus 6 equaling to 0. We are just substituting for x with the negative 3x plus 4x. Since when we add, we go back to x. The rest remain in positions. And then after reaching here, we shall now, after substituting, we split these two terms from these two terms and get the common factor of this and that, which is x. Here we shall remain with 2x. Here we remain with a 3. We also do the same here. We find the common factor of this term and that term. which is the positive must remain in position, which is a 2. So that gives us 2x minus 3 equaling to 0. And then you must ensure that the two brackets are the same. After ensuring that, we now get the values outside the bracket in a common bracket. That is x plus 2. We give them a common bracket. And then since these ones are the same, we take one of the two, which is 2x minus 3 equaling to 0. So either x plus 2 equals to 0, which gives us x as negative 2 when we take this one the other side, or 2x or 2x minus 3 equals to 0, which gives us x as 3 over 2 when we take 3 this side and divide by 2. So these are the possible values of x. That is how we shall work out that. Then let us look at our second example, where in this case we are given already expressed equation. This equation is already in the form of a x squared plus bx plus c equaling to 0, and therefore we just go straight to finding the sum and the product. Our expression is 6x squared minus x minus 2 equaling to 0. So we shall have to get the sum. The sum is the coefficient of x. This time round it is negative, so it is a negative 1. Negative 1. Since there is no number here, there is a silent 1, which is negative. Then our product will be 6 times negative 2, which is still negative 12. So this time round our sum is negative. The product is also negative. So remember, we are getting the factors, those two numbers that are added to give us a sum of negative 1 and multiplied to give us a product of negative 12. Still, we look for the factors of 12. Factors of 12, we have 12 times 1, we have 6 times 2, we have 3 times 4. So when we use these two pairs, we cannot get, neither when we make this nor that. The same applies to this. So this is where our interest is. But which one am I making negative? If I make a 3 negative and I add a negative 3 plus 4, I will get a positive, yet my sum is negative. That means that it can be only if I make 4 negative. So that will be 3 and negative 4. In our first, if I'm to take you back, in our first example where we had the sum as positive, we made the 3 negative. So that gives us a conclusion that when the sum is positive, we make the smaller value negative. Then when the sum is negative, we make the bigger value negative. That's very important. So our factors will be 3 and negative 4. Therefore, we shall substitute where we have minus x, we are substituting with these two. That gives us 6x squared plus 3x minus 4x minus 2 equaling to 0. Still, we do the same. We separate them. These two terms and these two terms. We get the common factors. The common factor here is 3x, which leaves us with 2x plus 1. This one is negative. The common factor is 2, which leaves us with 2x plus 1 equaling to 0. You must always ensure that these two brackets are the same. So we get this and that in a common bracket, which is 3x minus 2, and then 2x plus 1 equaling to 0. And then we say either 3x minus 2 equals to 0, which gives us x as 2 over 3. When we take it to the other side and divide through by 3. Or it can also be 2x plus 1 equaling to 0, which gives us x as negative half. When we take the one this side, it becomes a negative, and divide by 2 to get negative half. So that is how we use factorization in solving quadratic equations. Otherwise, you also try out these two numbers I'm going to give you. The two numbers are, number 1, we have 4x squared plus 4x. This is plus 1 equaling to 0. And the second will be, this will be 3x squared plus 7x equaling to negative 4. So you try those two numbers and see if they can be solved by factorization method. Perhaps don't forget our condition whereby there should be two numbers that you add to get 4 and multiply to get this and that, which is also 4. Otherwise, that is our first lesson. I wish you the best. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell such that you get notifications and don't miss out any lesson. Otherwise, see you next time.